everyone. Brilliant. So I would like to start today firstly by acknowledging all the traditional owners across the country we find ourselves on today. For me in Hobart, it's the Muwinina and Palawa people, and I would like to acknowledge their ongoing connection to land, sea and culture, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And I would also like to encourage you to feel free to make your own acknowledgement in the chat if you like today while we're going through this. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Heidi Mummy and I am the current president for Women in Seafood Australasia, or WISA as we are commonly known. I hope you have all had an enjoyable International Women's Day so far, and thank you for taking time out of your day to join us today. It's really exciting. The theme for International Women's Day this year is Embrace Equity, and if we look to the UN International Women's Day theme, it's cracking the code, innovation for a gender equal future, which is very fitting for the session that we're going to be running with you today. So today, WISA is really excited to introduce you to our project, Turn the Tide. And with me today, we have our fabulous project team who I will now introduce you to, and they are going to be filling you in on all of the exciting work that we're going to be doing as part of this project. So I would like to introduce to you Dr. Kirsten Abernethy, if you just want to give us a wave. So Kirsten is the WISA Executive Officer. We have the wonderful Jill Briggs, Managing Director of Effectus. We have Dr. Skye Cherry from SAC Consulting, and we have Sally Roberts from the FRDC. So that's our fantastic project team, and we're really excited to share this with you today. Now, before I hand over to Kirsten, I really would love to get a screenshot of everyone who is here with us. So I know how much we all love photos, but if you could all just look into your screen and smile and wave or whatever it is you feel like doing, please feel free. And I'm just going to take a couple of quick snapshots of you all looking fabulous. Sorry, there's two screens of you. So there we go, which is really exciting. Thank you very much indeed, everyone. And I'm now going to hand over to Kirsten to introduce you to Turn the Tide.
Hi everyone, this is exciting. I can't see how many people we've got here, but it feels like there's loads. So welcome everyone here today, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land I'm on, the Wadawurrung people. International Women's Day is such a special and such an important day of the year for women all over the world. And this year, it's particularly special because we get to talk to you for the first time about Turn the Tide, which is our new project. It's supported by the Department of the Prime Minister and Cabinet's Office for Women. And we welcome the staff from the Prime Minister's Office for Women who are with us today, Shane Wannell and Zoe Skeen. So this is basically the soft launch of our project, and we're super happy to share it with you all. Particularly WISA members who have been hearing little bits and pieces about this upcoming project since we found out about the success of our grant back in September. And I'd also like to really welcome the broader industry who are really interested, and it's just fabulous to see so many people and so much interest. It gives us a lot of encouragement, and it's super exciting. So in terms of what's going to happen today, we're going to start by sharing. So we'll be sharing the plans for the project and the opportunities to get involved. I'm going to give you a bit of an overview, and then I'm going to hand over to Jill and Skye, who are going to give you some more details about the activities that we're going to be starting this year. And then we're going to give you guys a chance to have a chat in breakout rooms about the project and about the issues that you think we really need to be focusing on and be aware of as we sort of continually sort of design and co-design this project with you. Jill, if possible, can you put in the chat our landing page? So Jill's going to put a link in here, and this is to the WISA website page for Turn the Tide, where you can register your interest in different parts of the project or just all of it. And we can keep you in the loop about the project and let you know when sort of deadlines are coming up and applications are opening and that sort of thing. So great, thanks, Jill. So now I'm going to just tell you a bit about, or give you a bit of an overview about the project itself. So Jill, can you put the presentation up for me, please? Thank you. So I'm just going to give you a bit of an overview about the project. So Turn the Tide is one of 6 projects funded in Australia under the Women's Leadership and Development Program as part of the Prime Minister and Cabinet's Office for Women. So it was announced by the Minister for Women, Katie Gallagher, in September last year. Our project sits alongside projects with the Diversity Council of Australia, Global Sisters, People with Disability Australia, Tranby Aboriginal Cooperative, and the University of New South Wales. All of these projects seeking to empower women and create change for a more equal Australia. To be one of 6 nationally and be part of this change is really exciting and a privilege. And incidentally, we're the only, industry, rural industry, like agricultural based industry, to be awarded a grant. So we feel like we've got this chance to really lead the way. The project is over 3.5 years. So it's just started this year and it ends in mid-2026. And Heidi's already introduced you to the team so far. We're expecting to have a couple more people join us, but we've got this brilliant team. We've been planning this project basically since we submitted the proposal, like well over a year ago. So to give you a bit of a summary of the project and what we're trying to achieve. So with you, the seafood industry and women in the seafood industry, we're seeking to actually turn the tide for women who work in or with the seafood industry in Australia. And we're being ambitious. We want to break down barriers for women and we want to transform culture. We want to have an industry which is welcoming and inclusive, with opportunities and where we attract women and a diversity of people in the broadest sense. And we're basing the design on the project because we've been listening to women in the industry, women working in all different places and in all different jobs. We've done the research, we've held workshops, and we've been listening to you about the issues facing women in the industry. Some women feel undervalued, overlooked, and excluded. Others feel isolated and struggle with balancing caring responsibilities with work. Others have to deal with really poor behaviour sometimes. And some women just really want to connect more. And there's a whole range of shared issues that we presented actually last International Women's Day. So you can catch up on that online. It's still on the website. We've also been listening to what women want in the industry. And it effectively boils down to 3 things: stronger connections, greater support to take on opportunities, and workplaces that consider the needs of women and diversity inclusion of people more generally. So we've used all of this and this brilliant team of women who are leading the project, who have deep knowledge and experience in this space, to design a program that together with you, we feel like we're going to achieve change. So there's 3 pillars to our project based on what we've been told, which is building networks, breaking barriers, and transforming cultures. And I've deliberately put them in a circle here because they all intersect and they're all related to each other, as Sky and Jill will reveal to you in a sec. But that's also to say that we've stopped listening now. We're building learning into this project, so we want to hear from you. We have this team and we've got a lot of energy, and I know personally that I'm going to be learning as we go. So I just wanted to let you guys know that on that Turning the Tide page on the WISA website, we're also got a register of interest for a team of advisors, where we're looking for people from all ages and all walks of life. The project's not just about women as a homogenous group, but a diversity of women in the industry. So we're looking for advisors from culturally and linguistically,
the survival rate for
culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander heritage, rural and remote geographies, women who are expert in disability and gender diversity. So if this is something that interests you to really get involved with, then please register your interest with us. And that's about all I have to say in terms of an overview of the whole project. Jill's going to talk to you about the program of activities we're calling Breaking Barriers, and then Sky is going to talk to you about the Transforming Cultures program. Jill, do you want to take it away?
You're on mute, Jill.
Hi, everybody. Happy International Women's Day. So the Effectors team is primarily going to be delivering Breaking the Barriers component of the Turn the Tide project. And the lion's share of those activities will happen between about April this year and towards the end of 2025. But those timelines will stretch in and out a bit. So those of you who don't know me, I'm Jill Briggs and I'm the Managing Director of Effectors. And my company played a really tiny part in getting the proposal into Prime Minister and Cabinet. And I just want to congratulate WISA on securing this amazing project that will actually transform the industry. I have no doubt about that. But it also is an amazing milestone in the journey of this incredible organisation that has endured over the years. So I'm going to now share my screen with you for a bit and tell you about the Breaking the Barriers part of the program that I'm extraordinarily excited about. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is why. So why are we doing Breaking the Barriers? Well, there is some real reason for turning the tide. And from my perspective, the reason I want to do the Breaking the Barriers is because I want to help enhance the amazing capability of the women in the seafood industry. We know you're great. We're hoping to make it greater. I believe that my role is going to help the industry strengthen the women's networks, amplify your voices, increase our opportunities, and grow the impacts that are essential for us to turn the tide. And I believe that what I bring to this space is the opportunity for women to really step into their power. So if we can break the barriers that stop women from reaching their real potential in the industry, then the industry is going to be significantly better. Now, I'm probably telling you to suck eggs by sharing my thoughts with you about that. But that's my basis, that I actually see that what we need to do is to enable everybody to share all of the opportunities that are in the seafood industry. So sorry if I offended you and told you to suck eggs, but there we go. So the next one is I'm going to tell you about Breaking the Barriers. So Breaking the Barriers is made up of two components. So the two components, there's some little other things that fly off on the side, but the two main components that I'm going to talk to you about this afternoon very briefly, is the mentoring stuff and the leadership and the entrepreneur stuff. So I think they connect, and I'll tell you how they connect together, but they are separate parts of the project. So the mentoring component is going to be an annual. So it's going to be rinse and repeat for 3 years. And the first thing that will happen this year, and we hope that it will happen each year, is that we're going to run a 2-hour session where anyone and everyone is welcome to come and understand what is mentoring. So it's a 2-hour session. And from that, we then will ask people to apply to either be a mentor or a mentee or both. And so then from that process, we have developed a way of matching mentor to mentee, which is driven by the mentee, but is resourced by the mentors. And then we come to a smaller group of people. So anybody and everybody can come to the first session, but session 2 and 3 are for the people that have been paired together. And there are a number of pairs and it will be limited, and that's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. And the great thing is we've got 3 years of funding. And the first session is a little bit of reminding about what happened in session 1, but it's getting down to the nuts and bolts of what you are going to do with as a mentor pair. So what is the mentor going to provide? What will the mentee do? And how are you going to work together? And then the last bit of the mentoring component is that we're going to bring you back. We're going to have support services and drop-in opportunities throughout the mentoring component. But the final session is we come back together and we talk about, so what was it like? And what tide did you turn by doing this mentoring process? So the second part was the leadership and the entrepreneurial part that we're going to do. And this is made up of 3 key components. So the first component is that we're going to be finding from the broad brushstroke of women in the seafood industry, 5 people annually who want to actually skill up their leadership, their facilitator capacity, so that we'll have a little bit of a training program for them to build confidence about how do I work with people, that they then may apply in their workplaces, well, we hope so, and their organisations, but that will then feed into the next part of the component. So the next part is that we will then find 5 issues that you as an industry will tell us, these are the 5 issues that we are finding very challenging to break. And then those 5 facilitators that we've trained up say, oh yeah, I'd like to do some work on that, or oh, I'd like to do some work on that. And they get allotted to one of those issues. And then a whole heap of women who want to talk about, understand, and maybe take some action on those 5 issues, join those 5 facilitators. And over a series of 6 sessions, they actually work as a group to build some skills, that they also work as an issue team to actually try and break the barrier of that issue that they've brought up. So that's a little bit of a sketched outline of what would happen in those 6 sessions spread across 12 months. So I'm now going to, before I hand to you, Sky, if you don't mind, I'm just going to say, how do the 2 of those elements come together? So it looks like they're quite discrete parts of the project, but in our thinking and our conversation as the project team, we actually can see that the mentoring and the leadership entrepreneur stuff ties together really well. So we can see that if you're doing some mentoring, that you might actually find one of these issues, and so you might want to join in that leadership stuff. So we can see that they're linking together, and they'll probably link together at various different junctures around the 12 months of each of those cycles. But we hope that people who do one can feel like they can be part of another. So that's me. Now, Sky, would you like me to go back and share that slide, or are you just happy to launch in?
I'm happy to launch in, Jill, or happy to show the slide, whatever you prefer. So my joy is just to have this opportunity to speak with everyone and to introduce myself in a moment. But first, let me say what a privilege it is to be part of this monumental Turn the Tide project for all women in the Australian seafood industry, and to be joining you today from Ngunnawal country, beautiful Ngunnawal country, and to also just at the outset take a moment to pay respect to elders and the traditional custodians of the land, past, present and emerging. My name's Sky, and I don't believe I've met all of you on the call. In fact, I know I haven't. I thought just at the outset to share with you that I'm passionate about the work that I do in the context of gender equity in particular. I'm an associate professor of law, actually, and I work at the University of New England in the law school there, but I also do work as a consultant and as a gender equity advocate in different contexts around the country. So, for example, I've recently done some work to review the meat industry around Australia, and I've also worked to understand forestry as a unique sort of complex cultural space as well. One of my big favourite projects, which I regard as a work of the heart to date, has been looking at sexual harassment in the rural and remote context all around Australia as well. And that you can look at in the form of a book that I put together called Whispers from the Bush, which draws people's experiences, rich experiences, together to create a national snapshot. So my whole career has been a joy in the sense that I've been able to really give voice to the passionate values that I have in this space. And I'm so excited to be working with you in the seafood industry over the next few years. Now, when we say that we're striving for gender equity, what we're really referring to together, of course, is that goal of achieving fair, equitable treatment for all human beings, because we are all deserving of dignity, of safety, of respect. And that's why we're all gathered here today, because we believe in those very principles and we know that we are entitled to those things. Consciously, we need to take the moment, like on International Women's Day, to think about these issues, because the way that society has developed, as we all know, in different pockets of the world is such that, you know, systems and stereotypes and attitudes and assumptions and myths about the way that perhaps women and transgender people and non-binary people are less competent and are less valuable in some contexts in the world. Now, we know that all of the research constantly and consistently dispels this myth and these myths. But the simple truth that the world thrives when people are included, when people are feeling safe, feeling valued, feeling that their talents and skills and abilities and attributes have a fair and equal landing place, that simple truth is something that we still need to do a lot of work on together to help that message properly land in a meaningful way in our workplaces. That's not to say that the law doesn't protect us all as individual people, of course, because it does. We've got great law, we've got great policy in this country, but we have so much work to do together, rolling up our sleeves together to help translate those good messages of law to all people equally on the ground. And again, that's why we're here today, to have a conversation about how it is that the sexist attitudes around things like, you know, having access to fairness in pregnancy contexts, in breastfeeding contexts, in fair practices around women's promotion and leadership opportunities, sexual harassment in the workplace, all sorts of barriers and obstacles can become tools that help those old systems be normalised. And what we're here to do today is to say, right, enough's enough. We have some very practical actions to put into place and to work out together in order to breathe fresh air into these spaces so that we can truly achieve gender equity moving forward. So anyway, this is why I'm passionate about my part of the Turn the Tide project, which is the component called Transforming Culture. Now, what this is about, I guess, is threefold. Firstly, and building on the work that Kirsten's already described earlier in our talk today, what we really need to do is to identify together the invisible blockers, the invisible barriers to achieving gender equity, safety, well-being right across the industry. And I'll say more about how we're going to do that in just a moment. But the second thing is that once we've identified those barriers and those blockers, we need to develop some tailored boutique recommendations for transforming these issues within the very special, unique context, cultural context of the seafood industry itself. So that's a special piece of work that will be informed by the voices all around the country, and more about that in a moment. But finally, what that then allows us to do is to develop a future-oriented strategic plan. And building upon the recommendations, we then work out how to put the recommendations into action for the betterment of us all. So in order for us to identify those real and unique barriers and blockers, I'm going to travel as part of my piece of this project to all sorts of Australian coastal locations to meet with as many of you as possible. And my hope is that along the way, we can have some really authentic, gritty, honest, transforming, authentic, vulnerable conversations together so that I can understand the different perspectives that each of us will naturally bring into this space. Noting, of course, that every single person's unique identity is shaped and influenced by a whole range of life experiences, by a whole range of beliefs and systems. And, you know, for example, some of us may come from a culturally diverse background. Some of us may come with First Nations heritage. Some of us may come with different spiritual beliefs to the next person. Some of us will be older and some of us will be younger. Some of us will have a different socioeconomic status. You know, we all have uniqueness that is built into our unique perspective. And so that's why it's important that we take into account the specialness that each one of us brings to the conversation, and to look at the ways that experience is the result of lots of overlapping lenses, which is a unique part of the dignity piece that we'll also talk about. So these conversations that I'm really looking forward to sharing with as many of you as possible will be confidential, and they will be an opportunity to share with me in the spirit of, I guess, that generosity of giving voice to lived experiences, which is important to the broader narrative, really important to creating that unique, individualized snapshot for the industry. They're going to be powerful conversations. The uniqueness and the complex nature of any culture is important. There is never a one-size-fits-all approach to culture, and that's why your voice really counts. And that's why I'm just so delighted for the chance to actually listen with deep, I guess, reverence to these experiences that you might wish to share. So it's an honour to have been entrusted with this part of the project. I'm so excited to be doing this through the lens of practicality moving forward, and to really make sense of our experiences and what that means for us all. So for now, please feel free at any point to contact us with questions about the project. There will be ways that you can register your interest, which I think Kirsten's going to speak to again in a moment. And for now, happy International Women's Day, and thank you for having me as part of this journey.
Thanks, Guy. That was terrific. And now I've been charged with trying to make sense of how do these two major elements of the project come together. So in my head, when I think about the work, the amazing work that Sky's going to do and the incredible work that I'm going to do, then the logic is that women who are in the workplace might be exposed to the project first by Sky coming and talking to them. And in that process, they might think, gosh, I'd really like to do something about this. And is there something else going on? Oh, yeah, there's the breaking the barriers work. I should get involved in that so I can build up my confidence a bit, or my skills up a bit, so that I can actually implement some of the thinking and some of the opportunities that have been raised in the conversations with Sky. And likewise, women who might come and dive into the program with the breaking the barriers part might think, gosh, now where could I use this? Oh, shit. Sky's doing all of that amazing work. I should talk to her, because I reckon having a conversation around the stuff that we know is emerging through this project in my workplace would be really useful. So that's how I see the two elements, or the two components of the project coming together. But I'm also really excited to say that we're going to be having a whole heap of gender dialogue events throughout the course of the project that will bring what's happening in the breaking the barriers component and what's happening in the transforming cultures part of the project into a space where we can talk about it. So they will be events that we will make sure you know about if you sign up for the information to be given to you. But there's all of these links. So even though they look like they're two separate components, they are definitely interwoven, and all of the dialogue and the conversations that will happen all the way through the program will keep meshing it all together. I hope I've got that right. Have I got that right, Kirsten and Sky and Heidi and Sal? Good. Good. And you can hear from the way we're talking about it that the first year is going to be a bit of a, like Kirsten said, a bit of a suck it and see. And we reckon we've got the construction right. But, you know, we'll be looking forward to hearing from the people who are part of it, telling us you might want to polish this up or you might want to ditch that next time. So, Kirsten, I think we're now into breakout room time, are we?
We are. We're
Right.
ready.
Great. So I'm going to just share again and encourage everybody to take a photo with their camera about this question. So we're going to now ask you to have a bit of a casual conversation with a number of other people who are online. And please don't disappear, because if you disappear, you miss out on the free ice cream at the end. So please hang in here. But we would really love you to spend some time talking about, in your work life, what are the two barriers that need to be transformed to ensure gender equity? We'd really love you to firstly, quickly, not giving everybody your full bio, but quickly introduce yourselves and then get your teeth into that question. Now, I'll drop that into the chat room as a message later on, just in case you end up talking about the netball or something. But that's what we want you to have a conversation about. And I don't like surprise birthdays, so I'll tell you what happens afterwards. So what happens afterwards is when you come back, we're going to be inviting you to tell us what those two barriers are. And we're going to ask you to tell us by typing into the chat function in the Zoom meeting. And so know that as soon as you drop back into the full group, we're going to say to you, could you tell us what were the two barriers? And we'll be thrilled to see what you've discussed and what you've come up with. So I hope I haven't rambled too much. Process is, Kirsten's about to open up the rooms. You will be allotted automatically to a room with 3 or 4 other people, 3 or 4 or 5 other people. We want you to quickly introduce yourselves, and then we want you to have a 10-minute discussion about, in your work life, what two barriers need to be transformed to ensure gender equality. How are we going with that? Yep.
Okay. Is everyone ready? By the way, this bit's not recorded, so
Yeah, right.
chat away.
Swear
Okay.
as much as you like.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks. I hope that they were interesting, insightful conversations about netball. Oh, no, not about netball. So what I would love to do now is to remind you that for the next couple of minutes, we'd encourage you to find the chat option or function in the Zoom, which is down the bottom of the bar, and there should be a little speech bubble that will then pop up the chat function for Zoom. And we would love you to spend some time now over the next minute or so typing out the barriers that you've just talked about. Can I invite you to do that, please, now? I can see fingers flying, which is great. Oh, and look, if you're worried about spelling, like don't worry about that. Like, just don't worry about spelling in this forum. Who cares about spelling? There's some theory that you can write a word like this and people will know what it is. So don't worry about spelling. Thank you, Whitney. That's really useful. Anybody else in that room, if you've got some stuff to add for room 2? Oh, look at that one, Sky, from Jenny Marshall, about confidence.
I know there are some amazing insights coming through here.
Yeah, yeah. Max Sense, have I said that? How am I pronouncing that? Is that the correct?
It's Mason.
Masons. What an amazingly insightful comment, not being taken seriously. Thank you, Masons. That's great. Thanks,
And
Brian.
Confidence again. Did you notice that, Jill?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Kirsten, it feels like some of this is reflective of what we've already heard. So we're on the money for you folk, which is great.
Well, thank goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's very this is what we heard at the workshop at Seafood Directions.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's what we heard in our surveys. Yeah.
Thanks, Laura. Honey and Fox. Yeah. Yeah.
And Jackie, recognition of unpaid work. I hear you, Jackie.
And I love Alicia's mention of language being important. That is true.
Yeah. Gosh, there's quite a few unconscious bias also being spoken about too.
Equal parental leave.
Oh, Jody, thank you. Lack of female facilities. Oh, yep. Yep. Thanks, Honey and Fox. Having just turned 60, I'm really frightened. I'm really frightened of age coming into my career opportunities. Yep. Lovely, Sky. Thanks. Wow, that is really great. So you all know, what will happen is we get a copy of the chat. So we're not someone isn't madly burrowing away at the background trying to type this up. So we will get a copy of this, and it's going to be fed into the whole conversation about what would be the 5 issues that need to be talked about and discussed and broken this year during the leadership and entrepreneurial component of the program. But it also helps Sky get a sense, another level of knowledge around what is happening out there, so that when she moves into these workplaces, she's feeling, like she's on solid ground. But it feels terrifically useful to have done that. Thank you very much. Okay, so feel free to keep typing. And I just want to say that now I have to get the right thing to cut and paste. Just give me a sec. Shit. Can somebody else cut and paste the link to our form?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Can you do that
yeah,
for me, please?
Sure.
So why did I swear and then ask? Because in the form that you can fill out, there's also an opportunity to make some comments. So if you think that, oh gosh, the thing that I didn't speak about during the webinar with WISA was this barrier, then drop it in as a comment and we can collect it that way as well. So I want to say thanks, and I'm going to hand back to the gorgeous Kirsten, who's going to wrap the session up for us. And I want to say happy International Women's Day to you all. And I can't tell you how excited I am to be connecting with you, and hopefully we'll all work together over the next 3 years. Thanks, Kirsten, back to you.
Thanks, Jill. And thanks everybody for just, I don't know, all that chat has just, has made us feel like we're really on the right track, but then also really given us some insights and ideas as well. There's some just really interesting things that are coming out. I'm just going to give you a bit of a call to action to end with. Register your interest in Turn the Tide. That doesn't mean that you're committed. It just means that you're interested in continuing to learn more, and that we keep in touch with you. and start getting involved now. So share the link with your network, keep talking to each other, keep talking at your workplaces. And yeah, just really wanted to say thank you for being here for the soft launch of Turn the Tide, which we're hoping is going to be an industry transforming project. And we're so excited to have everyone involved. Happy International Women's Day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.